gonna do some quick fixes for the shoulder. I got one of my guys in here, he's gonna become a partner and all this good stuff. Introduce yourself.
Brendan, I'm a trainer at kettlebells, functional movement, all that good stuff. We're gonna go through some things that can help, not only help fix your shoulder, but add a little stabilization to what you guys are doing for all you heavy guys out there that are moving some serious weight. Help create some stability for you guys.
So we got all these guys that keep coming to me and I'm seeing online. We got the biceps are on fire after bench day or after squat day. We got pec minor, pec major. We got some pec spasming, and then in the worst case scenarios, we have some previous or current tearing in the pec. All that stuff goes in conjunction with all kinds of stuff going on in the upper back. All this stuff is gonna be trained through by most of these guys, so we got to fix it up. So we're going to show you a couple ways how to do that, how to achieve better shoulder position and what we call shoulder centration. We want to get that shoulder in the center of the joint, and you can do that here today by watching this video.
All right, everyone, the first exercise or the first movement prep thing we're going to go through is what we call a V-slide with a lift. So all we need is a wall for this. What we're going to do, we're going to kind of get the arms out like Ben has them. I'm going to apply just a little pressure into the wall, and I'm going to slide the arms straight up against the wall and do a V. What we're going to do from here is I'm going to pull the hand away from the wall as far as I can without staying out of pain. Then we're going to return to the wall. With a little bit of pressure, we're going to slide right back down. The whole idea of this is to get the scapulae moving before we start pressing overhead. This is a big thing that we see in here where these don't function properly, and it leads to all kinds of compensations. So he's doing it really well here. What we're looking for is to keep a nice neutral spine. So what you'll see a lot of times is when people try to pick up range of motion, they'll sink into the wall and they'll get into extension in the back, and we don't want that. So looking from the side here, when we track up, he's got pretty good range here, but let's say he didn't. Let's say that he locked out. I would pull him away from the wall a little bit, and so we still want to maintain a locked out arm on our way up here. And so this is going to shorten the range up, and we can still work on that pull and come back. Again, stay pain-free. That's the big caveat here. As you start to progress and as you start to loosen up, we can slide closer to the wall, still with the glute squeeze, the spine neutral. And let's see if we can get a full lockout here. Boom, and you can see he's already shaking, and we haven't even touched the weight yet. So this is a very, very good dynamic warm-up for the shoulder blades here. Again, another thing we were talking about, don't get into extension to try to pick up range here. That's not doing anything for us except creating problems down here. Glute squeezed, core squeezed, then move. That's how you guys want to do it.
Second one we got for the quick fixes for the shoulder is you just need a little bit of a band here, something pretty thick. We need a little bit of distraction force at the shoulder, so you got to have something that's a little strong. You need a kettlebell here, and then something to attach it to, so you can go around a rack or a pull. We got a little deadlift band attachment here, so we're going to attach. He's going to show you how to do this here. To get in. So what we're doing is we're trying to jam this way up here in the crease, way up here in the crease of the bicep and the shoulder here. What we're trying to do with this is he's going to get set here. He's going to pick up the kettlebell correctly from the side here, roll it up, and what we're trying to do is get this here. We want him to scoot away. Go ahead. We want to create a little bit of tension here. What we're going to do is this band's pulling his shoulder this way. So what we're getting is we're getting a little distraction force trying to pull the humerus out of that socket here just to be in the center of the joint to allow us to rotate and move freely. Now, what we're going to try to do is, what I like to do with my benchers here is I have him pull the chest up to the ceiling just like we're tightening up for the bench. Good, high breastbone position here, and then this is all locked out. Now, a lot of guys here, he's got great range of motion and mobility in the shoulder. A lot of guys aren't going to be able to lock this elbow out already, so what I have him do is grab the back of your tricep with your hand here. We're going to block this here. Yeah, flip it like this. There you go. Ahead. Block this here. That way we can keep this elbow locked out. It's going to help us prevent just twisting at the wrist and not getting any rotation in the shoulder. So now he's going to turn thumb away from him like this here. We're going to externally rotate. So go ahead and get a couple of reps in here. So what we're looking for, we don't want him just to rotate at the elbow. So we don't want him just doing this with the hand, just like that. So we're trying to get this whole shoulder to move here. What's awesome about this is when people are packed in the shoulder, they're usually packed forward and way up high. So what we're doing is we're using the kettlebell to force the shoulder down into retraction, into this, or the shoulder blade into retraction. So we're freeing up this joint, and then we're externally rotating. So we're going to try to slowly increase the subacromial space to allow us to press flat press or like overhead press, so like a bench or a overhead press for Olympic lifters or strongmen. We like to do about 3 or 4 sets of 20 to 30 with this. We're trying to go to end range, come back, try to increase that end range of motion, come back. It's just like this here. Now, if you got a guy here who's good and stable in the elbow, most guys you'll see are gonna start shaking around all crazy and stuff. He's real stable, he does kettlebell all the time, so he's got real good shoulder health. So he's trying to always stay firm here, shoulder blades tight, increase that range of motion.
What's up, guys? For this third one that we're gonna do, we're gonna build off the one we just did with the distraction and the rotation. This is gonna be called the arm bar, and we can use a kettlebell, a dumbbell, or just your body to do this. It doesn't matter. We're gonna use a kettlebell today. So what I'm gonna have Ben do is I'm gonna have him lay on the ground in a fetal position on his hip. So in this case, on his right hip. We're gonna insert the hand into the belt. I'm gonna, come over top of the other hand. We're gonna roll. Again, safety is everything here. We're gonna press up straight, 2 hands. Once he gets set and he feels comfortable, we can then take the other hand away. I'm gonna put my left leg out straight, and you'll see why we're gonna do this in a minute. So what I'm gonna ask Ben to do is I'm gonna ask him to kind of roll over, pushing off that right foot, and as he rolls, he's gonna bring this arm back. And what we're gonna do is drop this leg over. There you go. And so this may look like an unstable position, and you'd be right, it is, but that's why we want to use a lighter weight. I want him to rest his head on his bicep here, and kind of sneak a peek to his hand out of the corner of his eye up here. That's gonna help our brain kind of figure out where we are in space here. What he's gonna do is he's gonna take a couple deep breaths, and every time he takes a deep breath, he's gonna roll his hips into the floor. Right, so we're a little tight here. And if you want to get more, we can slide that leg down, and then just keep rolling. And I want him, I'm going to take my arm away, I want him to stabilize straight up and think about punching to the ceiling here. And you're going to see the shoulder blade move, and that's kind of what we want to get at here. Yep. I'm going to let him go, and I want him just to stabilize. You're going to feel a nice stretch kind of in the bicep, in the pec, depending on how far we can roll our hips. You're also going to get some motion through the thoracic spine, which is relatively important for overhead pressing. We don't necessarily want to twist through the lumbar because it's just not a good thing for us. But again, think about moving through the thoracic spine. Then we can get a little more creative, and if we want to get a stretch through the lat and the teres and everything down this side, we can crawl our fingers back towards me. He's going to feel that one for sure. I know I would. So take a deep inhale, exhale, roll. And he probably feels a huge stretch through here. And you only want to do maybe 5 breaths each way. It doesn't have to be a long time. You can go ahead and roll back over. And we can use this for a couple different reasons. This can be, again, as part of a movement prep for your overhead pressing, your bench pressing, any type of pressing. Or on an off day where you're working on stability and mobility, kind of like as an accessory drill, you can increase the intensity as you feel confident in it, and you just do like 3 or 4 breaths, and you really feel the scapular stabilization start to take place there. But this is also a very good one to get you loose before you press. All right, guys, we're going to show you another shoulder mobility and kind of stability drill here. And this time, all we need is a PVC pipe. Doesn't have to be very long, just long enough so you can get overhead with it, like shoulder width. So what I'm asking Ben to do is lay face down on the ground. And I'm going to ask him to press out what he feels is enough to get shoulder width apart overhead. So that's pretty good. What we're going to ask him to do is I'm going to ask him to lift this bar off the ground while maintaining a neutral wrist. So what we see a lot of times is people will go into extension in the wrist. We don't want that. We want to be nice and neutral, just like everything we do with a press, overhead or bench. What I'm going to ask him to do while keeping the face down, the shoulders packed, and without lifting from the spine, we're going to lift from the shoulder blades here. I want him to lift that bar straight up for me. So again, we're experiencing some tightness here. I'm going to ask him to do it for about 10 seconds, where we would do for about 10 seconds. And this isn't easy. This may look easy because it's just a PVC pipe, but this is pretty hard. Then I'm going to ask him to drive straight down into the ground for 10 seconds. And this is one we have to be careful with because you'll see a lot of people push and then they'll pop up through the spine, and we don't want that. Just enough, and you're going to feel everything lighten up down here on the inside of your arm, the shoulder blades, and he's doing a very good job. Then we're going to lift again. And we've already noticed he's already getting higher off the ground. We're trying to get to that end range and work inside that end range. When we see injuries with athletes or especially with lifters, okay, come on down, press in again, they typically tend to get hurt in the end range. So we want to at least train in the end range for a little bit to provide stabilization so we can do work capacity inside there. Lift one more time for me. Good. and another caveat behind this is we need to breathe. So if you're turning red and you feel like you're not breathing, just breathe comfortably and normal. And relax. And I would get up, walk around. You kind of bring your arm around in a circle after you do that, because this is creating a lot of tension. Yeah, this is creating a lot of tension in the spine, right in the shoulder blades through the spine. But it will definitely help you open up your end range, get more solid range of motion where you have stability through it.
Okay, so final piece of the puzzle here we're going to show you is how to take this to a range of motion. We're going to be overhead pressing, so we would just say that, hey, he's a strong man. We're going to do some overhead axle or single arm, circus dumbbell, whatever the heck you're doing overhead. And so this one is going to help us just try to solidify and lock in that shoulder blade position for safe pressing. So we got a band attached down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have him hop in this band here. We're going to position the band right over top of this shoulder here. We're going to kind of hook this shoulder bone here, and we want this right here on this line of the shoulder here. This is going to help us depress the scap in terms of pressing overhead. That's going to help us, again, what we're trying to achieve is centrate that joint here. So go ahead, pick up kettlebell. So this is, you still want to use something super light here. You don't want to be at working weight or anything like this. So what we're going to do, he's pretty mobile in the joint, so we don't need a lot of tension. The bigger the guy, you can put the band lower, use a larger band, or walk further away from the band. So what we're going to do is, this is just pulling him down. What we want to do is have him get in a standard pressing position, so he's going to have a nice firm base. Tighten the core here. Now go ahead, reach all the way up here. So he's going to reach up into this range of motion. This is where he's going to kind of be locked out. We want normal good mechanics when you're pressing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same type of thing we did on the other one, is we're just going to have him externally rotate here. We're trying to keep this elbow stiff. He's going to twist. We're going to get about 5 to 10 reps here like this. We're trying to freeze this shoulder blade position, make sure they're engaged here, tighten the core. And we're just twisting. We're trying to free up this same thing. Free up that shoulder so we can press, okay? Now, once he gets a few of these reps in, then we can actually start to get into a normal, just overhead, full range of motion press. So go ahead and get about 5 or 10 reps in here like this. So this is, as he's pressing overhead, we're pulling down on this scapula. A lot of guys are super tight in this neck, so what we have happen is as they're reaching up, we get this hike here and jamming all this stuff up here. Not good. We can pinch stuff off in the neck, and then of course we can run into all these gliding joint issues. So the rep ranges here are, we're going to go a couple sets of 5 to 10 as you loosen up. If you're a tight individual and you can't touch the back of your neck and you can't do any of this stuff here, then you're going to want to use a lot higher rep range. Guy like this, we can get away with a couple sets of 5 and then just get a feel for that press, and then we're in business.
All right, guys, I want to thank you for joining us today on our quick fixes for the shoulder. Find me on Instagram at B_Rose_SFG. Special shout out to RPG and Coach Ben for having me today. I had tons of fun.
Thank you. You guys can find me at Coach_P_Strength. We are here at Rochester Performance Gym, home of the Michigan Bar Benders. Please tune in next week. That's it.
That's it.
Bam! Smoked it.